Alrighty, folks. Welcome in, everyone, to challenge number 1 of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm super pumped to be here, and I'm so sorry. Yesterday I got cut off by a couple of minutes there, and I apologize for that. I'm going to try to go over a couple of the things that I had meant to mention for you. Yesterday, but yeah, welcome in, everyone. It's good to see all of you folks. I see so many familiar faces here joining me again. Murphy, Ashraful, Emma, Anki, Robert, Susan, Ralph, Andreas, Sam Peterson, the one and only, Cody Bear, hello, it's good to see you, Cody. Bliss, welcome in. Vanessa, Z, it's good to see all of you folks here this morning. So yeah, we're going to jump into challenge number 1 of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. My name is VooDoo Val, and I'm going to be your host for the next couple of weeks and beyond. And I'm going to dive in first to a little bit about how you folks can get involved, where you can get started. I saw a question in the chat just now, someone asking where to start. You will want to start on the landing page for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. So I'm going to pop over here. This is behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. This is where you will get all of the information that you need. You can hit this big blue button at the top here to register for the challenge. Scroll down, and every day as we make our way through the challenges, you will see a challenge unlocked. Today we are designing a social bio graphic, which I'm very excited about. And you can also scroll, let's see, over here to the community chat if you would like to jump in and chat. You can also hit the join us button underneath if you would like to join the Discord. I will also pull up the link to the Discord for you if you go to bit.ly/psdiscord. You want to make sure that P and S are capitalized so you get to the right server. You can jump in there and share your work, make some friends, talk to folks. It's a good time. And yeah, let's jump into what I have planned for you today. So if you click this button right here, if you hit this get started button right here by underneath the spiel for our challenge, you will download the starter file. And this is what the starter file looks like this morning. This is our challenge number 1, and it says create an attractive social bio or introduction graphic using shapes and alignment tools. So I've got kind of a layout laid out here for you folks. Feel free to change it. These challenges, I am going to show you how to do them a certain way, but you are always welcome and encouraged to mess things around, change it up a little bit, and make it your own. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you where I got some of these assets. So we're going to be using, I have an influencer image here that I really like that we are going to be using for this design. I'm going to bump this up here so you can see her. And I'm going to show you where I found this as well as these nifty fonts that I've got here. So this is Lust, the Lust font, and Montserrat. And if you come over here, I'm going to pop over. I went to the free version or the free section of Adobe Stock, and I just typed in the word influencer. This image is the third one that pops up. So if you folks would like to use the same image that I am using, that is where you can find it, or you can come through and you can find any of these other photos that you like well enough and use them for your project as well. And then I just typed in Lust here in our Adobe Fonts search bar, and you can see all the different versions of Lust, the regular, the sans, text, and stencil. I'm using the regular Positype version here. It's got about 12 fonts in it, and I have 6 of them activated, so you can scroll through here and see all of the versions of that if you would like to use it. And then I searched Montserrat as well, and there are plenty of different versions of Montserrat. It's one of my favorite fonts because there are so many different weights and styles of it. It is a perfect font for me to use, I think. So if you'd like to use the same images and fonts that I am using in my my project today, feel free to search the fonts on Adobe Fonts and activate them and find the influencer photo in the free version of Adobe Stock. Now, when you open this up, because these are Adobe fonts, if you hit T on your keyboard to activate your type tool and you just click, it should actually have it should auto activate the font for you, but I wanted to let you know what they're called just in case that doesn't work for whatever reason. But you should have them. And what I've done, if we can dissect this for a moment, is this is just the plain white background that all of your Photoshop files will start out with unless you have a transparent background selected. And I've just created a rectangle shape up here because that is where we're going to put our image. I just wanted to lay that out for you. And then I've left you a couple of, or three, different colors and things that you can use in your challenge. Hi Val, save your work before you pick the fonts. Hope you're doing good. Save your work, Annika. Welcome in. I'm gonna do a little Control S real quick. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have my influencer photo and I wanted to make this graphic kind of an attractive, kind of trendy little bio. I think it's a great project for the start of the new year. Folks in the chat, you may be creating new social media profiles. You may be updating your social media profiles and personal branding. And you may want to post some kind of intro to your Instagram, to your Twitter, whatever it is that you use. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. So you can see I've placed this image that I've licensed above our banner shape, and I'm going to just right click that and I'm going to say create clipping mask, because what that does is it just makes sure that the image that is clipping to that shape does not break the borders of whatever it's clipped to. And then what we can do is if I could hit Control T to free transform, or Command T if you are working on a Mac today, you can actually resize this as you want. Like maybe I want her to be bigger, I want her to be more at the forefront, like so. I can kind of drag that over and it just kind of has her in here. I actually like it more off to the side there. It kind of has her just in her natural habitat. She is an influencer, and this shows her, you know, what she looks like, and it also shows her kind of doing the job, you know, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to show. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that there. Now, I do have some elements added in here, and it says challenge number 1. So we're going to change that up to say something that a graphic like this would need. So I'm just going to say, like, let me say, hello, my name, well, maybe not my name is, hello, and we could do a comma, and then exit caps, and I could say, I am, maybe that works. And then I'll click here and I'll come into our number 1 here. And I need a name. I'm gonna find a name from chat. Vanessa. This is gonna be about Vanessa. Hello, I am Vanessa. And you can, depending on what words you decide to put here, you can move them around however you like. And I'm going to talk about specifically moving elements around, because one thing that I would really like to touch on for this challenge is how to use the alignment tools and the snapping in Photoshop. I went years without doing this in my own projects, and now that I have figured out how to do this, I never do a project without using the grids and the snapping. So if you come up here to view, make sure that snap is on. You can hit shift control semicolon if you want. And some of you folks may accidentally have the snapping off. So if you want to toggle it on, you can hit Control or Command H. And I already have it on, so I'm just going to go ahead and click that one more time. And I'm going to hit V on my keyboard so that I can activate my move tool. And as you can see, once I start dragging things around, you can see how it starts to align things relative to what else is on my page. So for example, I have my hello, I am up here, and I would really, really like this to be aligned with the edge of my little dots here. I may move these dots, but if that is an element that I'd like to keep, I want to make sure that it's kind of uniform there to the edge. Maybe I want Vanessa to kind of align, let's see, down here with like the edge of that V aligning with the very edge of this dot over here. And then maybe here I want to make sure that this is aligned to the center of that middle dot. And you can also, what you can do is if I come down here to our little shapes Here, I'm going to click one of these ellipses. One of the things that you can also do is you can hold Control, and then you can hover over something that is nearby. Let me zoom in here so that we can see all of those things that come up. You can click on an element. We'll click on this lighter circle. And if I hold Control and then hover over here, you can see it also shows me the distance of pixels between each element, which is very, very useful. So for example, if I had, you know, let me Control Z, maybe this one is farther away. It'll tell me how many pixel difference is between these two. But if I click here on this lighter circle and then I hover my cursor over here, it'll tell me this is 40 pixels away. And I would want this to be 40 pixels away from the third one as well, but it's too far. So I can actually click here, hold Shift so that I can continue to drag this on the same exact axis that it's on. And as I near it, you'll see it snaps and it says, hey, just in case you want this the same distance away from the other element, it is now at 40 pixels. So this is a really, really great tool for you folks to use if you would like to be making kind of pixel perfect designs. It's a really good way to do that. Now, so we have our image in, we know how to use our snapping and our guides. We've got our title in, but we want to add a little bit more to this, and we're going to continue to use this snapping feature and these guides to add in and create some more little designs. I'm going to check the chat here just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Great tip, says Ted. Thank you so much. I hope that it helps you. I cannot tell you how amazing it has been for my personal workflow to do this. I didn't know about this trick. Thanks. No problem, Vanessa. I got your back. Please feel free to post any questions in the chat if you have any. Isn't it harder to do it in Photoshop than AI? You know what? I honestly, I sometimes would jump into Illustrator to make things perfect like that because I didn't understand how to use the Photoshop snaps and the guides and things like that. But honestly, I am more comfortable in Photoshop, and now that I know how to use them, I would say that for my personal workflow is faster than any other kind of alignment tool that I could personally use. And I'd be interested to know if now knowing how to do it, if that is the same case for you. Pro tip from Val. Yes, indeed, Robert. Okay. So one thing that we are going to do, I'm going to go ahead and group this image and the banner because I want them to be together. So what I did there was I just, let me Control Z there. I selected this, I held Control and I just clicked the other layer that I want, and then Control G or Command G if you were on a Mac. And I'm going to go ahead and double click this and I'm going to call this, bio pic. So I know that that is the bio picture. If I want to hide the entire thing, then I can. So I have, hello, I am Vanessa. We can write a little bio for her if we want, but first I'd like to add some other designs just to ensure that we've got everything going properly here. So I'm just going to grab myself a rectangle and I am going to drag up here and I'm going to make myself just a teeny tiny little rectangle here because I'm going to put like a little cap up at the top of this. There we go. All right. I am going to change this to a different color. Let me zoom out here. We're going to go fill and I'm going to select a color and I'm going to go ahead and select one of these colors that I have up here. I don't know if this one is right. So let me make sure. I think we've got a stroke on here. I want to turn my stroke off. Let's try it. Let's try one of the other ones. Let's try the middling color and see. It kind of gets lost a little bit in there. So let's try the darkest color. Not bad, but I feel like we might even get away with just using a white. So let's try a white. I feel like it might look then as if it is unfinished. So let's do this. Let's try our lighter color, and then I'm going to duplicate this rectangle with Control or Command J. And this underneath one, I'm going to go ahead and just Control T to free transform, and I'm just going to bump this down just a tiny bit, hit enter, and then I'm going to change this one to white. So I have like a little border there. And I kind of like that. It does cut off the top of her head, but I think that it kind of makes it like almost like a widescreen effect, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm gonna call this, let's group these together just like we did before. We're gonna call this top cap. You know, you can name this whatever you want. This is also a practice in making sure everything stays very, very organized because we want to be able to find everything. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate with Control or Command J this top cap piece, and I'm going to bring this up here because I'm going to mess with this as well. I would like to Control T and drag this down here, and I'm going to align it. You can see my little snapping there. I'm going to zoom in here so we can get a good look at this. I've got my little circles here, and I'm going to snap them this right to the center here because I want it to be perfectly aligned. And I'm going to drag this underneath our shapes. And I'm going to change this to a white color. Let's change this to white. Boom. And with another clipping mask, I'm going to give us a little gradient because I kind of want to cap it at the end here. So let's go ahead and create a new layer, Control Shift in or Command Shift in, and we're going to call this gradient. Boom. And I'm going to grab my gradient tool. If you don't see your gradient tool, all you have to do is right click that paint bucket tool because it's probably underneath the paint bucket tool. And I'm going to select, let's see, let's come over here and grab this middling color here. And I'm going to go ahead and just draw a gradient like so and clip it. Create clipping mask. Another thing about gradients is if you want a gradient to be perfectly straight across, just like drawing a line or something like that, or dragging something when you're free transforming it, you can hold shift so that you don't get all of this. You can hold shift and it will snap, okay? It'll also snap all the way around. Can you see how that line kind of goes up and down and it snaps at certain intervals? Really great trick there. So now I've got like this nice little, you know, end cap sort of thing going on. Drop shadows and lens flares is all you need, says General Kenobi, the master of space opera fantasy movies. If you want lens flares and drop shadows in your bio, I think you should go for it, General Kenobi. I think it's meant for you, but it's not for everyone else. Let's see, maybe you could use it under that white rectangle. Yeah, you know what? Using a gradient, I imagine is what you're talking about, Abraham. Using a gradient under there would be cool. It might also be interesting if we come into this biopic, we can make another Control Shift in and clip that. It might also be interesting to come in here. I'm going to go into my basics and make sure I'm on this transparent gradient. Let's select a white. It could also be interesting if we just added a very subtle fade of white there, kind of adds a dreaminess, but we just want to make sure that we don't lose our text, okay? Because if we lose that text, then it'll, you know, I think that Lust is a beautiful, gorgeous font, but Lust also has these very, very thin pieces here in the font design that you kind of have to be careful with so as not to lose the readability of what you're trying to convey. So it's really up to you. But I think that that was a very interesting idea, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that. Now, what does a bio need? Because when you are designing something, you're not just thinking about, does it look cool? You're also thinking about, does this have all of the information that we require for it to be the piece that it's supposed to be? So you'll see that I've set this up into 3 sections. I have got an image that is like first and foremost. Here, I might actually add a gradient to this top bar as well, just to kind of give it the same look, because the two together, it's not bad, but maybe I could add kind of a reoccurring element with that gradient, but I won't worry about that now. We've got our picture, so you can see who she is. Who is Vanessa? Then we're going to have a little spiel. We can actually make this, if I hit T on my keyboard, I'm going to drag this down just to make this a little bit longer, and I'm just going to duplicate this. So Control C for copy, and I'm just going to copy paste this a few times just so that we have what looks like a longer bio. Okay, so we have what she looks like, we have information about who she is, and then something that you really, really want to put on a bio or introductory kind of graphic is, where can we find this person? If I'm interested in this content, if I stumble upon this image, this graphic, where can I go to see more content? You might already be on their Twitter page, but if this person very obviously is like a video influencer, and I assume that she probably has a lifestyle YouTube or something, so we need to put that information on there. So let's kind of arrange that in an interesting way. And we're going to use grids yet again to do this. So we've got our 3 dots, and I think that it would be interesting if we kind of continued that design. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going to look, but we're going to do a little bit of exploratory adventuring around in the realm of what we can do to this element. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this entire group of shapes. So Control or Command J. So I have my shapes, and I'm going to Control T, and I'm just going to bring this down here, and I think I'm going to center that, boom, right there. And I am going to grab this, and I'm going to bring this to right here. Okay, make sure it snaps. See, look, I did not even know that I brought that down a little too far, and I might not have noticed if I didn't have my snaps on. So now I can see that it's perfectly aligned. And then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to hit V on my keyboard. If you are selected on another tool, by the way, you can hold Control to turn your cursor into the Move tool if you like. But I like just having the Move tool on so I don't forget and accidentally draw another shape or whatever. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to bring this into the center. Boom! It tells me once I've hit the spot where they are a similar distance apart. I feel like I need to bump it. There we go, 927. So now it is in the center, and it told me that. I don't have to eyeball it. I don't have to push pixels and try and get it into place. I already know that that is where it belongs. And I'm going to come in with a text tool. I'm going to group these within this group. And I'm going to call these, let's see, Control J, I'm going to call these social media, because we need some social media icons. Boom. And I might come in with like a triangle and just draw like a white triangle out here. And I am going to zoom in because my cursor is very small. And I'm just going to throw that in there. Also, if you would like to place something while you have snapping on and you don't want to use the snapping tools, which is something that happens, you can actually hold Control while you are moving stuff around. And that will allow you to move it around without snap. So you can keep the snapping and the alignment tools on as you like. And I can move this and it will keep snapping. But at the moment I press Control, I have the ability to move it freely, and the tools will still show up, so I can still see them, but it won't snap it for me. So if you have need of that, then that works. So these are just supposed to symbolize the social media icons, and then we can come in with our text tool, and I am going to say YouTube. Maybe I should spell YouTube right. How much time do we have? We got like a minute and a half. YouTube, and then I'm going to snap it if I can. Boom, sort of. I won't get too precious with this because we are running out of time. Control J, and I'm going to put that one there. Now, this whole challenge has been about alignments, and I'm not aligning these, but I will later. I'm going to call this Twitter. And I am going to call this Instagram. just so that we have all of our social media stuff. And there you go. Now you can mess with this however you like. I feel like it needs more information at the bottom, so I might put like a little sentence or two about her. But this is an idea of how you can line this up, how to make it more pixel perfect and organized, how to organize your files, and where to find assets to create a cool bio like this. So I hope you enjoyed this challenge. Thank you so much for joining me. I do have to take off before I get cut off because that would be a shame, but it's been a pleasure hanging out with you folks, and I will see you again tomorrow morning for challenge number 2. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.